Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the EKN Debrief here on the EKN Radio Network. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole, who was down in Florida this past weekend for the final two rounds of the SuperKarts USA Winter Series. That's what we're focusing on here today. And as you know, if you've tuned into our debriefs, really it's our audio review of the event that just happened as part of the EKN Trackside Live program. David and myself normally down together at races. Of course, all the weekend coverage that we do on social media, race reports, you name it. Those as well go out in the email bulletin, the EKN News Desk bulletin. But for those of you who love podcasts, this is the way to get up to date. All the inside scoop of everything that happened at the most recent event. This is episode number 74 of the EKN Debrief. It's Tuesday, February the 16th, 2021, midway through the second month of the year. And of course, the season firing up all across the country. Not so much in the northern climes. A lot of snow getting hit there. In fact, snow getting arriving in Texas as well, which is blowing everybody away. Bottom line is we have gone racing, and David's going to give us his update from, again, the final rounds of the 2021 SuperKarts USA Winter Series. This week's show presented by Parolin USA. It all started in 1994 when former kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and they run a factory team at all of the major SuperKarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior drivers, and the 28-mil mini kart for the cadet classes. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. All right, David Cole, you were trackside. Crazy to me that you've never been to the track at Homestead before, but this was your first trip down to the AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex, presented by MG Tires. Got a chance to see the racetrack there in Homestead. It's been around for a long time, and as I told you, it races really well.
Never been to Miami. First trip to
Seriously?
Miami itself. Never have gone further south than Orlando. That's essentially it for me in the state of Florida. So never been to Tampa, any of that. So first time getting all the way down south into sunny, warm Florida. It was a much needed break from the -2 degree or 0 degree weather that we're having last week and this week here in Michigan. So yeah, it was much needed. Very excited to obviously be to a new city, a new racetrack, and for me, and get to experience the Homestead experience.
Yeah, exactly that. Fourth season of this championship, the SuperKarts USA Winter Series, beginning back in 2018, essentially installing what is the, say, winter training, spring training, whatever it may be, to gear up drivers in the IAME categories for the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour, which will, of course, kick off this year in late March back at NOLA, New Orleans, and the NOLA Motorsports Park. Fourth season for the Winter Series, round 3 and 4 this particular weekend. One drop, 4-round championship. David, give us a little scoop. What was the weather like down there? I know that going in, I kind of talked about the fact that it was going to be perfect for you all weekend. I know you did get some rain. I followed along on social media. You said some rain did hit a little bit. But overall, what was the weather like? What was the racing like?
Yeah, overall, weather was perfect. A little bit humid, more humid than you're used to, especially in the month of February. Something you would expect come, July or August in the state of Florida. But so a little bit humid, but, cloudy here and there. So the sun would kind of pop behind clouds once in a while, but warm temperatures and the humidity was strong. So mid 80s all weekend long, windy a little bit at times, mostly on Sunday, but overall, perfect racing conditions to complete an event. As you said, we did have a little bit of a shower on Friday about midday. It was just a quick little 2-minute rain that came down and kind of disturbed practice for a little bit. Yeah. So, drivers sat out practice for a session. As we said, about midway through the day, everybody kind of ducked for their tents and brought everything back in for a quick brief moment, but the sun popped right back out and was sunny the rest of the day and rest of the weekend. So that was the only rain shower we got through Homestead. We know lots of rain was happening north of us in Daytona during the Daytona 500 weekend. So we were lucky to avoid a lot of that.
Hey, take the opportunity to say shout out to our former Carter friend, Michael McDowell, winning the 500. How cool was that?
Well, it would have been cooler to watch it live, but I was sleeping, as the majority of the people were.
I was too. I
Probably.
fell asleep too.
But yeah, very cool to see McDowell earn the victory. I remember meeting him because I know, obviously, you know him from way back in the day. Yeah. But I remember meeting him at Sebring when he was racing Star Mazda at the time. So. Yeah. Obviously, he's been in a number of different things, Daytona prototypes with Michael Valiante, and I believe it was Shank Racing at the time.
Yeah, and he ran with Finlay Motorsports as well, too.
That's true. Yeah. So that was it. So very cool.
Michael never made the cover of Shifter Card Illustrated magazine, but he was on the cover of Formula Car magazine. I called him the real deal back then. I think that was like probably 2004. So. Cool to see that 17 years later he ends up winning the 500. That's amazing.
Yeah, 300 some odd races too in NASCAR.
That's it. So David, racing wise, one of the things we always wait to the end of the day of any event, right, on the PA, is to promote the fact that we haven't had any red flags. What was the racing like? I know I was watching a bit. There was one red flag. You said a driver had an incident at least once when I was watching. What was the red flag situation overall through the weekend?
We actually had 2 red flags, both of them on Saturday, and ironically, both of them in the KA 100 senior category. We had the pre-final cut short by, I believe, 2 laps, and we had the main event cut short by 5 laps with a red flag coming out on that one. I was not able to get the driver names and conditions. Both of the incidents were kind of mid-pack or further back, so it wasn't front runners that were involved in the incidents. The first one in the pre-final was at the far end of the racetrack. Just again, that's something that, not being at the racetrack before, is seeing exactly what the racetrack, how it is, and what you kind of the conditions that the racetrack offers. It's a lot narrower than what you would think, being a parking lot race.
Agreed.
A lot narrower, and the curbs are gigantic. I just thought they were rounded off, wide curbs. These are not just rounded off. I mean, some of them come to a point at the top, it seems like. These curbs are nasty, and it's just they, as you see, sometimes on the exit they'll grab you, and I think that's what happened in this incident. And somebody got sideways, nowhere to go when you're running in a big pack, like I believe they were in that session. So guy kind of flew out of the cart and went up and over, and cart went for a ride. The second one in the main event, it's kind of the same thing. Came onto the front straightaway, hit the curbs, got sideways, smashed the barriers, and a little bit of a concussion, it looked like, because the driver was not alert and ready to get up out of the cart once he came to a rest. So the yellow flag came out, and then obviously a red flag for the incident to bring the medical attention there. Yep. So but Sunday was clear, no issues. A couple incidents here and there, but nothing major to the point where either a full course caution or red flag was needed. So racing wise, other than that, it seemed to be, not being at Homestead before, it's kind of hard to gauge it, but it seemed to be very aggressive. Obviously a little bit more on Sunday, as you typically see on a double round weekend like what we had. But racing seemed to be aggressive. Guys were trying to, not necessarily bad aggressive, but just, trying to make a statement, trying to make that progress. So I think that's kind of how the racetrack tends to race, the way it's laid out, being essentially 90 degree and 180 degree corners.
That's you got to be aggressive. Agreed. 100%. Yeah. David, let's cap off this section and talk about by the numbers. Let's have a look at the numbers that we eventually ended up with down there. I know the first round was flirting. I think we were at 201 drivers at one point, and I think they ended up with 199 drivers actually, take to the racetrack for the opening rounds of the Winter Series. 177 in total, capping things off for round number 2. So, a drop of 22 drivers for the most part. Pretty consistent across the categories, little drop here and there. Masters up 5. Junior was exactly the same. KA 100 Junior, an actual increase of 3 in KA 100 Senior. But, again, a pretty decent drop in X30 Junior. And, of course, the shifter guys just didn't show up this particular weekend.
No, they had 5 on Saturday in total with Pro and Master, with 2 in Pro and 3 in Master. Unfortunately, Ken Schilling decided to sit out Sunday, didn't even make a session. So there was technically only 4 carts on track in that race group throughout the day on Sunday. So yeah, that's the area that hurt. And as you said, X30 Junior dropped a number of competitors from the opening weekend, but across the board, the rest of the categories pretty much remained the same. To kind of emphasize why they were down 22 entries from the last weekend.
Yeah, Micro Swift up, it was still strong. Only dropped to 30 in the opening round, 27. That's really good to see.
That's
so
the
many
positive.
Drivers, right? Yeah,
that's the positive moving forward, because you're looking at your mini and micro at nearly 50 drivers just there alone. Yeah. So you're looking at your next 2 to 3, even 5 years of progression, having a number of drivers that'll be coming up and moving up the ranks. And again, X30 Junior had 34 last month. So that bodes well for possibility, more coming into KA100 Senior or X30 Senior.
Exactly that. All right, folks, we're underway with episode 74 of the EKN Debrief. David Cole giving us a full deep dive into the event that he attended this past weekend, the final 2 rounds of the SuperKarts USA Winter Series at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex, presented by MG Tires. Again, this week's show brought to you by Parolin USA. When we come back on the other side, we'll jump into what will be the Paddock Pass. Stay with us. More to come. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the U.S., OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic and Esprit chassis, and now the new Red Speed and EOS brands, OTK quality is second to none. All 5 brands are winning races and championships across the country in national programs like the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour and the Challenge of the Americas, the SKUSA Pro Tour and Winter Series, and the Pro Kart Challenge, the United States Pro Kart Series, and the WKA Manufacturers Cup. And OTK products are also front and center on the podium of club and regional races from coast to coast. To learn more about a specific product line, you can find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, or EOS. Visit www.otkusa.com. Specific chassis territories are still available, so kart shops interested in adding a winning component to their product lineups can contact OTK USA directly. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. Trackside support and arrive and drive programs are available in 2021 for the USPKS and the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and Super Nationals, with full product sales and service and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private, one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. Trinity Karting Group is also your Midwest home for Tony Kart and IAME, and we're your source for MG and Evinco tires in the region. Tony Kart quality cannot be beat, so call us today to put you in a new chassis for your next event. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. Welcome back to episode 74 of the EKN Debrief. We are reviewing the final 2 rounds of the SuperKarts USA Winter Series from Homestead. Now, giving David an opportunity to give us some of the insight away from the racetrack in this edition of the Paddock Pass, which is brought to you by Allenberg Racing Schools. Allenberg Racing Schools has operated exclusively in the USA since 2012 and is now the #1 open-wheel racing school in the country. The current race cars feature a carbon tub, racing slicks, front and rear wings, and onboard data acquisition combined with onboard video. 1, 2, and 3-day racing schools are on offer, as well as corporate entertainment programs, manufacturer programs, and more. Allenberg Racing Schools is based at the world-famous WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Please visit www.allenbergracingschools.com for more information and to book your racing school. All right, David, again, the Paddock Pass, there was literally nothing for me, hardly anything for me at the last race because I really just stayed in the announcer's booth the entire time with the way things were with COVID. I'm sure you're probably in the same boat, wanting to make sure we stay safe with the season taking us to a lot of racetracks this year. But what were you able to pick up? I know there was a certain things that kind of hit we were able to talk with, but what were you able to pick up Paddock Pass-wise?
Well, obviously, going into the weekend, this was something we were going to look at and follow a little bit as much as we could with Supercar USA adding the DeLorto slide carburetor to the IAME SSE 175 engine. So that is something will not only be what we watched this weekend, but throughout the year as this new rule is into effect now, essentially for the Pro Tour in 2021. That's going to be kind of the big focal point, how this affects the performance of the 175 engine, if it's what the competitors move towards rather than the Tillotson carburetor that was essentially designed for the engine originally. Both carburetors still allowed, but DeLorto is now accepted and was used by Hardin Motorsports Group, Devin Smith Hardin, along with Skitchy Bards in the Masters category. So it's kind of hard to judge. Obviously they were working with it throughout the weekend. Just like any other carburetor, you got to find the sweet spot. And as I said regarding the weather, very humid, always changing with cloudy, then not cloudy. So it's kind of hard to gauge the carburetor settings for the type of conditions that were down there.
Yeah, the bottom line is there was a lot of people that we talked to, after the 125 could hit the ground running, and were people talking about the drivability of the engine, and people said, "Man, it'd be really great to be able to have the DeLorto carburetor." And a lot of feedback from the drivers and customers, teams, shops, and eventually SKUSA electing to open it up. And Lynn Haddock, you and I had a little bit of an email message with him, and he said they were asking for it. We had enough people ask for it, so you know what? Let's provide it. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if this is the thing that allows more drivers to come to some of these national events with the 175. They wanted the carburetor. They got it. Let's see what happens after that. One of the things that we talked about in our Outlap preview podcast last week, David, as well, was the number of rookie senior drivers making their debut in X30. Tell us a little bit about the drivers that were actually there to debut and how they did.
Yeah, we talked about two in the Outlap preview. That was Zillage and Park. So we were kind of gauging their performances over the weekend. Obviously, Zillage had a little bit already a head start, raced in the WK Daytona Kart Week, but this was Park's first senior event for him. He actually raced with Ryan Perry Motorsport as the Trinity Karting Group wasn't able to attend the event, so they were able to move over to the Ryan Perry Motorsport tent, but carried the TKG race suit all weekend long.
Nice.
So it was a little bit of Zillage making a little bit of authority, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the race preview. Park kind of had an up and down rookie weekend, showed some speed, but wasn't able to really break into the top 10 all weekend long. But obviously, again, first weekend for him. What we did learn, and when we got there Friday, was the addition of Brent Cruz to the X30 senior field. Obviously, he raced in the Pro Shifter as we kind of covered in January's event. The 12-year-old now was doing double duty on the weekend, so he was racing both Pro Shifter and X30 senior category. So this was kind of his senior debut in the X30 division.
One of the talking points is Brent running both shifter and now into the X30 class at just 12 years of age. I had a number of people message me about that. In terms of Jace Park, actually was chatting with Sean Bailiff this morning, talking about the fact that the team will make their official debut at Trinity Karting Group at the USPKS race at Ocala. I think they're going to have 15 people under their tent, so it's going to be a good tent there. And they've also got at least a dozen drivers, I think, lined up for the Supercar USA Pro Tour opener at NOLA Motorsports Park in April as well. rather in March.
NOLA Motorsports. Get it through your head. There's no more park.
It's not. When did that happen?
That happened at the end of last year.
All right. Oh man, that's gonna be tough.
I know. I'm just drilling it in your head right now.
That's gonna be tough. All right, I'll work on that. I have to write it down somewhere. That's for sure. Put it in front of me when I'm talking because that'll be tough. Listen. Overall, looking at the numbers, right? We've had numbers in the high, the high 240s at the Winter Series before. This year, of course, number one, just thankful that they were able to get the racing underway. The industry needs us racing. The teams need to be racing. Obviously great as us as a sport, kind of being able to do it undercover a little bit. We don't have fans, so it's not like a crazy deal where we have a lot of restrictions. The good folks at Homestead have worked with the local health authorities to make sure we can go racing. But still, David, the COVID-19 restrictions, potentially some positive tests, whatever it may be, Canadians aren't going to be able to come down en masse as they normally have been. That's obviously one of the issues here in the Paddock Pass to talk about, that really the COVID-19 restrictions have put a hurt on the numbers.
Yeah, the restrictions have kind of limited the international flavor of the Winter Series. Obviously, we used to welcome drivers from Europe. That was a big feeding into what was making the spring training, because we'd have the European drivers coming over to get ready for what was going to be their season over in Europe, whether it be just January or both compete in the January and February events.
Indeed.
So. Obviously, as you just mentioned, and you know firsthand, is the restrictions coming across the Canadian border and going back. So that has limited the drivers coming down from Canada to compete in the program. We did have one Canadian there in Jensen Burnett racing with Paralympic USA. So I think he's kind of hunkered down in the state of Florida over the last month or two. So
Thomas Nepfu as well.
And Thomas Nepfu as well. So he was the other Canadian, I think, that we had in the weekend. But also South America, not as many competitors coming over from that region as well too. So that's part of the problem. And then also, people coming down with positive tests. We had mechanics that had to skip the event because were tested positive and had to stay home and quarantine and hopefully get better. Obviously, as we do hope that things go smoothly and well for those who are tested positive, but had to shuffle some mechanics such as Eddie Jarzakrak stepping in for Mike Geeson with Thomas Annunziata. So that was one instance, and I'm sure there was a couple others as well too.
Well, again, wishing those the best that have come down with COVID, that can hunker down and get through it and get back out into the world sooner or later. All right, folks, let's cap off this section of this EKN debrief. When we get back, it's time to start talking racing. After this break, we'll go X30 Senior and X30 Junior. David will give us the full race report from Homestead. The SuperKarts USA Winter Series is now complete, and our racers are ready. It's time for the 12th edition of the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour, the sport's only coast-to-coast national championship series. Come challenge yourself against the best of the best and take your shot at the coveted #1 plate. The 2021 SKUSA Pro Tour kicks off on the March 26th to 28th weekend at NOLA Motorsports in New Orleans with the 4th edition of the Winter Nationals. Last year's event was cut short by the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're excited to get back to Louisiana to take care of unfinished business. This year's Spring Nationals will take SKUSA's drivers and teams to the Utah Motorsports campus on May 21 to 23 at the popular facility located just outside of Salt Lake City. Newcastle Motorsports Park will again play host to the Pro Tour finale, the 12th running of the SKUSA Summer Nationals on August 13th to 15th. Registration for the Winter Nationals is now open, so head to motorsportreg.com and lock in your spot on the NOLA grid. We will see you there. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at www.franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We're constantly adding to the growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, Tillett seats, ceramic products, driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, OTK products, and of course, the championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 74 of the EKN Debrief, as we take a deep dive into the race review of the final rounds of the SuperKarts USA Winter Series in Homestead. The race report this week brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing. Acceleration Kart Racing has everything you need to go racing, from tires to helmets. They have a great website for you to order from, and kart racers ready to pick up the phone and answer your questions 6 days a week. With over 20 years of kart racing under their belts, Acceleration Kart Racing has the experience to help you succeed on the track. You can rely on them to get the parts you need when you need them. Make Acceleration Kart Racing your go-to source for everything karting. All right, David, time to start really getting into the meat of this deal. Let's talk about the racing. Let's talk about the competition. We'll start with X30 Senior, and here is the headline. You can fill in the gaps from here. Norberg grabs third straight X30 Senior Series title. Says it all.
It doesn't say it all, but it does stay a pretty way to end the weekend. That's what we came away with when the weekend was completed, because things were wild and crazy up until the final checkered flag, and then after up into the podiums were confirmed and announced. So that was it was a quite interesting weekend.
All right.
But Norberg on Saturday, it looked like the 2019 Norberg. Last year was obviously a different year for all of us, and with the Pro Tour being all at Newcastle, we didn't quite really see that Ryan Norberg that we saw in the 4 previous seasons that he won the championship. This Ryan Norberg looked like he was there to kind of try and dominate and score that victory that he hasn't had in well over a year. So Norberg started out the weekend qualifying on pole and winning the pre-final, setting up for what was going to be, it looked like to be a duel with Ari Demejian right there behind him throughout the day. Norberg led early on till Demejian had just a little bit more in the final, was able to get by and hold Norberg at bay throughout the rest of the main event. And then so that allowed Demejian to score a second straight in the class after winning Sunday's round in January. So Demejian crossed the line in first outboard the Kart Republic, with Norberg in second, and Diego Ramos sitting there in third with his 2021 debut in the X30 Senior category.
Connor Zilic coming home in the 4th spot, and Thomas Annunziata at P5. You mentioned both those drivers as we ramp things up. Hard charger, David, coming from 34th up into 12th after a flat tire in the pre-final. Sebastian Montoya on the Tony kart. That's a pretty solid jump up of 22 positions.
Yeah, one of the drivers entering the weekend among the contenders in the championship. So that flat tire in the pre-final really hurt his chances to battle. And as we moved into Sunday, that was obviously allowed for basically a 2-driver fight between Ryan Norberg and Aris Demejian. So those two were the drivers to watch going into the weekend, because I want to say it was roughly about 40 points separating the two entering the final day of competition.
Wow.
Okay. Sunday started out with Diego Ramos setting fast time in qualifying, but it was Ryan Norberg who came away with the pre-final victory. Norberg, and as I said, Norberg and Demejian were separated by very little points. So essentially it ended up looking like whoever was ahead of the other at the end of the main event was going to win the championship. So that was the story going into the main event. Norberg was able to kind of get away a little bit, had some separation with he and Zilic on his bumper. Those two kind of got away. A slight little bobble by Norberg coming out of turn 3 allowed and opened the door for Zilic to kind of capitalize and slide through to take the lead. Annunziata was trailing the 2, and when that pass happened, that kind of opened the door for him to close in 3 to 4 cart lengths and then get by Norberg in the following corner in that second 180. That is what would be turn number 5, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Then that allowed Dukmejian, who was sitting 4th at the time, to close up and eventually get by Norberg as well. So Norberg went from 1st to 4th in just a matter of moments. And essentially that's the way the race ran, with Zillage putting in solid lap after lap, finding just a little bit more speed than what he had on Saturday to claim his first victory in the X30 senior category at the SKUSA Winter Series. Annunziata making it rookies 1-2 with a strong performance in second place. And as I said, Dukmejian was sitting there in 3rd, crossed the line in the 3rd spot position, but was handed a penalty for cutting the track after an incident, I believe around lap 2. That penalty essentially moved him from 3rd to 5th. So rather than being in front of Norberg, moved him behind Norberg in the results and also in the championship, handing Norberg the championship title by 15 points.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And I saw the video of that, which is interesting. Yeah, tough one. It happens, right? You got to get back. What's the rule states? You have to when you come off the racetrack, you got to get back on the track where you went off. Is that not correct?
I don't know I obviously don't know all the rules, but essentially that is the rule. The way you look at it, he exited the track at turn 5 and re-entered at turn 7.
Yeah.
So you're essentially skipping the turn 6, and math, geometry shows that's a quicker line than
that's right. That's it does. It's a triangle for sure right there.
Now, and who's to say what would have happened if he would have gave up, 3-4 spots back to where he was when he exited the racetrack. So, they could have said, okay, yes, that's not cutting.
Pointed a couple of guys by or something. Yeah.
Yes. So, but again, you're in the heat of the moment. Not quite sure exactly what's going on, what's happening. But again, that's with a facility like that, with the way it's laid out, that used to be the racetrack. If you recall, do you remember how that turn used to be a 90? Because the curbing is still there. That turn used to be a 90, and it would go into a little S's and then hit the double right-handers.
I don't remember that, honestly. That's hilarious. No, okay.
Yeah, all right, if you do a Google image of it, you'll see it. So that's essentially the path he took and went, because there's no barriers there. There's nothing blocking it.
Yeah.
So boom, went straight through.
Other side of the trees, right? There's those kind of trees in the middle there too.
There used to be trees. There's no more trees there now.
Are you sure? I thought I just looked at.
See, this is what happens when you take photos on the racetrack. You actually know what the racetrack does.
This is true, David. This is true. I thought I saw looking at the video today.
There used to be trees closer to where I'm talking, but I think they removed that. So there's a couple grass sections there still. But it's
dude, I trust you. You were there.
Again, you're not quite sure what would happen if he waved a couple guys by, if that would have negated the penalty, or if they were still going to enforce a penalty despite what happened. So the penalty was handed down, and unfortunately cost him a championship and handed Norberg his 3rd straight.
Yeah, I'm watching this right now. I'm rewatching the video, and it's not. Yeah, you're right. The trees used to be there, but the grass is still there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Man, that'll do it to you. Wow. Hey, you know what? Bottom line is, it happened, and then when you do something like that, the race directors have to do something. Right? They kind of make a call. So it ends up being a 15-point championship win for Ryan Norberg. Dukmejian coming in 2nd. Montoya 90 points back in 3rd. Let's not count out the driver and forget about Tyler McIntyre, David, on the Burrell Arc chassis, up 20 spots. The hard charger for race number 2 started back in 33rd, ended up driving up to 13th. Yeah,
a little bit, as we said, a little bit more of aggressive field on Sunday, so there was a little bit of attrition, so that kind of helped with the 20 spots and
couple extra spots there.
Yeah, in the 22 lap race, but still a good drive back up to into the top 15 for McIntyre.
All right, let's go to X30 Junior and the headline for the category: 4 winners in 4 different rounds.
Yeah, it's what you want to see in a competitive category such as X30 Junior. You have, as we kind of talked about in the outlaps, a number of drivers trying to kind of stand out. You have a number of rookies that are trying to make a name for themselves early on. But in the junior categories, ironically, ended up being local drivers that kind of showed the way for much of the weekend in both X30 Junior and KA100 Junior. But on Saturday was Jacob Kolar in the Ralph Schumacher chassis, leading the way in qualifying with another local, Leonardo Hassan, in the Tony Kart, winning the pre-final. Hassan was started out on the pole position, got pushed back to third with Kolar and round two winner Jeremy Fletcher able to push Hassan back. But as the race went on, Hassan was sitting there in third, just waiting for something to happen. Once Kolar and Fletcher began fighting for the victory, was able to go from third to first in the matter of a couple corners and drive away to his first series victory in the X30 Junior category. Kolar ended up finishing in the second spot with Fletcher in third. Kai Sorensen drove his way to the fourth position, was actually the hard charger of the race. Broken coil wire in the pre-finals forced him off the racetrack early on. So had to come up from the 22nd spot, got 18 positions to end up fourth in the main event. So almost clinching the championship by that finish. So had to race on Sunday to kind of get those final few points. And Rowan Gill ended up rounding out the top five aboard the Mike Doty Cosmic.
Yeah, anytime you have a good run like that from the back for Kai Sorensen to be able to get himself where he needs to be on the parallel, and like you said, almost was able to get the championship clinch on Saturday, but just needed to cap it all off on Sunday. Kudos, though, to Leonardo Hassan for the win in round number 3. Dave, move on to Sunday, and Sorensen obviously coming out of the gate pretty strongly after that good run up through the field, qualified on the pole on Sunday morning.
Yeah, with a championship on the line, went after the bonus points right away. So got that in the qualifying session for those 10 points in that round. But Paul Bocuse ended up becoming the driver to beat all day. Came out in the pre-final with the fists up and went up to the front of the field right away and was able to score the victory. And then went and led all 22 laps of the main event to score his first series victory in the category. Kind of a redemption because he was kind of up at the front all day Saturday till an issue early on in the main event took him out of the fight for that one. So a redemption run by leading all 22 laps of the main event. Sorensen and Donovan Bonilla aboard the Orsilon Tony Kart were trailing him all race long. Great fat battle for fourth behind them. Ended up with Noah Baker scoring the position ahead of Jeremy Fletcher at the line.
Yeah, shout out to Paul Bocuse there. He, when I was down there in January, came very close to getting a race win as well. Just made a little minor mistake and ended up losing that. Good to see him come out and really get that, what you may look at being a really crucial dominant win, right, David, to get out of the gate and get that done. I think it's crucial when you have a race like that. It really helps the confidence and the momentum.
Yeah, it carries the momentum because he won both junior categories at the Rock Cup Florida Winter Tour event in where were they at the casino? I can't remember.
Pompano Beach.
Beach.
Casino.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously he probably came in with some confidence, and then Saturday having that issue probably kind of deflated him. So to come back and score that dominant victory on Sunday, certainly going to help him move forward throughout the month and the rest of the year.
Yeah, hard charger Michael Costello up 12 spots, started 19th, ends up 7th.
Yeah, good drive for him. Again, a little bit chaotic behind the top three, a lot of fighting. So I believe Costello was right there trailing that fight for fourth.
Kai Sorensen ends up with that championship, and again, coming off that really strong run on Saturday, really setting things up on Sunday, allowing him to come out of the gate. And one thing I always say about qualifying on the pole, you'll take the 10 points, they're great, but especially the championship battle, and especially on the final day, you're taking those 10 points from somebody else as well. So if you qualify on pole, you're getting it, but the guy that's trying to battle you, you're making sure he doesn't get those 10 points. So kind of a double whammy when you get to qualify on the pole. Fletcher back by 80 points to finish second overall in that big win on Saturday, helping Leonardo Hassan work his way into third in the championship points. All right, another quick break.
I was going to say, and again, all these points are unofficial. They're my points. They're not Supercards USA points. Want to get that out there because I don't know,
David.
I don't know I know they were calculating them, but I don't know if they published them anywhere. So I just wanted to make sure that.
We should probably do that at the very top. We'll have a disclaimer that we'll do at the very start of these things, right?
Well, I just did it now.
Okay, good man. That's it. That's right. All right. Again, into a quick break. We'll come back with this race report section brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing on the next segment. KA100 Senior, KA100 Junior, and X30 Masters.
Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on-site at GoPro Motorplex, Kart Sport North America features over 6,000 square feet of retail space. Along with being the official race team and distributor for the Kart Republic chassis, they offer full retail sales, kart service and storage, and products from the top brands in the sport, such as CZ Chain, Talon Sprockets, SKF bearings, and Prisma tire gauges. If you want to take your racing to the next level, they also offer driver training and coaching programs available trackside at GoPro Motorplex. They have a massive inventory, so head to their online store at kartsportna.com to get same-day shipping of the parts and components that you need. While you're there, check out their used section of karts, engines, parts, and accessories. Kart Sport North America. Top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services.
Are you ready to make the jump from karting to race cars? Then check out the top-rated Allenberg Racing Schools at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, led by former Formula One World Championship driver Alan Berg. Whether you're starting a racing career, looking for a new adventure, honing your driving skills, or seeking an unforgettable experience driving the world-famous corkscrew, our team of professional coaches and proven curriculum will provide you with everything you need to drive our race cars to the limit. Programs in 2021 include 1-day, 2-day, and 3-day schools. Successful graduates earn their certification to apply for a SCCA racing license. For schedules and more information, check out our website, allenbergracingschools.com, or call us at 888-722-3220. Custom group and corporate programs also available.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network and our EKN Debrief from the SuperKarts USA Winter Series finale from Homestead. David Cole giving us the update, everything that happened trackside. Again, into the race report here now, our second segment of the race report brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing. Dave, let's move to KA100 Senior. Pretty good field of KA100s, as you had mentioned, 31 in total on the weekend. Here's the headline: dramatic weekend with Dugmedjian the champ and Nunziata first victory.
Yeah, this headline was really tough to write because there was just so many different stories throughout the weekend in this category. So it was kind of hard to kind of pinpoint one or two drivers because there was a lot going on throughout the weekend. Going into the weekend, Hannah Greenemeyer was the championship leader despite not winning either of the rounds in January. She actually came out qualified on pole position for Saturday, but Dugmedjian had just a little bit more than everybody else once we got into racing. Came out, won the pre-final, and then went away and went wire to wire in the main event for the victory. He had Brandon Lemke and Nolan Allison trailing him throughout the race. Neither of them were able to make a move on Dugmedjian, and essentially it was ironically a boring race for this category. But everything behind them was chaotic and a little bit of fun to watch. And again, this one was ended early because of a red flag, so it could have shaped up in the last 5 laps, but still nothing really happened up until the red flag. But so Lemke ended up finishing second, Allison in third. Greenemeyer fell back to fourth with Aiden Levy finishing in fifth.
I actually had a chance to chat with Mike Rawlson today. We're setting up for our face-to-face interview that we're going to do on Wednesday, tomorrow, with Chase Hand and Ryan Norberg, a couple of Rawlson Performance Group champions from the Winter Series. And David, Mike told me that Hannah actually injured her ribs in the racing on Saturday. I don't think she raced on Sunday, did she? Again,
I was going to get into that on Sunday, but
we'll get that. So
you jumped the whole shot.
Well, but it was a Saturday injury. We'll talk about. You can of course expand on it. Hard Charger In race number 1 for K100 Senior on Saturday was Thomas Annunziata, up 13 spots, 29th to 16th. This is going to set up for the entire weekend because overall, just a great weekend for Annunziata. You'll talk more, but an issue in the pre-final means that he's got to work hard coming from deeper in the field.
Yeah, needle in the carburetor broke while he was towards the front of the field in the pre-final. He tried to make it work, tried a couple times it would go, and then would shut back down again. So had to pull off eventually. So charged his way up from 29th to 16th, gaining 13 spots in the cut short main event. So
all right, roll right into Sunday. What do we got?
So into Sunday, Duke Medjian had the championship lead following the action on Saturday. So coming out and gaining the top 10 points again in the qualifying session kind of helped things move along towards his almost essentially locking up the championship moving forward. Again, as you said, taking the 10 points and keeping it from somebody else getting it. Came out and won the pre-final, but was handed a 10-second penalty for manipulating the start, is the quote from race officials. So that dropped him from 1st to 8th in the pre-final order, giving Nolan Allison the victory in that race. Now, manipulating the start, you're asking, what the hell is that? Essentially, it's brake checking everybody at the start. So it's not maintaining a consistent pace up until the punch-off cone. So it's kind of like the on-off type scenario that you like to do when you're driving a rental car. Not as drastic as that, but essentially where you're bottlenecking up the field, people are slamming into back of each other. You know, it's kind of like a bottleneck type scenario.
I get it.
This wasn't the only class or driver that was caught with it. Other drivers were caught with it throughout most of Sunday, because it was something they noticed on Saturday. So they kind of addressed it. Like, you know what, we need to stop this. So it's, I guess it's one of the things when you start closer to turn 1, it's something that can happen, but it's not something that we've seen a lot of. But it was something we did see a lot of this weekend. I don't know if it was something that you noticed at all during the January weekend, but guys were playing games with one another. That's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you this, David. I wish I could tell you. You sat in where I worked in the booth there, and so you'll know this now. Going in the counterclockwise direction, you could see the start coming down the straightaway. In the other direction, I couldn't even see the first corners, the last corners, right? Because people stand right there in the tower. Beside the container, because I'm on ground level announcing there. I couldn't see the first corner. I couldn't even see the start because people are standing there. So I never did see any of the starts, so I can't comment whether or not that was happening back in January as well. Let's go to the main event, though. You say Nolan Allison starting on the pole position, able to get out to the lead. Thomas Annunziata kind of stepped things up at that point.
Don't stop. You're jumping ahead. Let me talk.
What did I jump ahead on?
So Duke Medjian with the penalty dropped him down to 8th, correct?
I thought you already said that. Sorry.
No. Well, you got to continue on with that story. So when you're starting 8th rather than 1st, you're kind of in the middle of the kind of chaos that happens when you're not out front. Lap 2, some contact coming out of one of the corners kind of shuffled things up a little bit, and then going into turn 1, more contact. Duke Medjian and Gia Cicero into the wall out of the race.
All right.
So now when I talked about going into Sunday, Duke Medjian had enough points to almost kind of had the championship wrapped up. Well, thankfully, no disqualification. He was able to come away with the championship, even though he ended the race in the wall. So essentially everybody was kind of racing for the victory. It wasn't more so for the championship going into the rest of the main event. So so as you said, Allison started up on the pole position, kind of led early on. But Annunziata, as you kind of kept talking about in January, and we kind of mentioned early in this show, really had the pace throughout the weekend, was able to get by Allison and take control of the lead with fast laps of the race and drive away to his first victory in the series.
I think if you go back and listen to the Outlap preview podcast from last week, he was the guy I said to watch out for too. And Annunziata, he had such a good weekend in January, and cool to see him step things up and grab a victory here on Sunday as well.
I think he had 3 hard chargers in this category. I think he had both in January and then Saturday. So so I think that kind of bodes well for him.
We always say, though, you never want to get the hard charger.
No.
Because it means you have to start at the back. Right?
Of course.
Speaking of hard charger, this particular one here, 9 spots up for Greg Campos, started 21st, ends up 12th.
Yeah, and I didn't go over the top 5. Sorry. So Allison finished up in second, but a penalty for, again, manipulating the start.
Ooh, really?
Dropped him down to the 5th position. That moved Aiden Levy. So we had 2 senior rookies, 1, 2 again.
Man.
Lemke ended up finishing in 3rd. Connor Ferris finishing in 4th.
So in the championship points, as David said, no issues on the final day for Duke Medji, and I assume that's obviously his drop. He ends up winning by 40 points over Lemke and Hannah Greenmeyer, which you haven't brought up yet, David.
No, I was going to when we talked about this.
Sat out on Sunday, using Sunday as her drop, 50 points back.
Yeah, as you kind of mentioned, rib injury suffered Saturday. She tried to make it a go on Sunday. Essentially pulled out of KA after qualifying, so she didn't make the start in the pre-final or final. But used Sundays as a drop, so ended up still finishing 3rd in the championship chase. And again, she tried to go for X30 senior, but ended up pulling off for that category as well too.
Well, you mentioned it, David, that the curbing is pretty aggressive at Homestead. We talked to a lot of drivers that have been there for the first time, and man, they're saying, even Scott Barnes, when I talked to him last January, he normally doesn't use a rib protector, ran like the first practice day, and then came into the guys at Hardin Motorsports Group and said, we need a wider seat because I got to get my rib protector on to get it in here. It's a tough racetrack. It's physical for sure.
It's a physical. I wouldn't say it's a tough. I would say it's a physical racetrack
Physically
because again,
tough.
It's physically tough. Yes, yeah. Because again, it's 90s and 180s. I mean, how hard can it be? But you're talking narrow tracks, so you're using a lot of the curbs going through the apex, and you're using carb when you mess up on the exit. So, yep. And then those exit ones really grab you. The apex ones hurt your body physically, but the exit ones really grab your attention right away.
All right, let's move to the KA100 junior category. In the headline, local driver Lloyd doubles up.
As I said, junior drivers, it seemed to be locals that shine throughout the weekend, and Colin Lloyd was one of those. Essentially, almost had a sweep on the entire weekend. Pre-final on Saturday was his only blemish on that day, with Lloyd qualifying first, but it was Chase Hand, the championship leader going into the weekend, that came out with the victory in the pre-final. He and Lloyd were essentially the top 2 drivers all day long. But Lloyd ended up being just a little bit better in the final, was able to come away with the victory, his first in the SKUSA Winter Series, with Chase Hand finishing in second. Behind them was a great fight it was actually a fight for second, as Hand lost ground with Lloyd, came under attack by Sebastian Weldon, and Christian Miles was able to hold on to the second position when they crossed the line, with Luke Welcome finishing in the 5th position.
Yeah, Luke was a winner in the opening round, and good for him to be back in the top 5 once again. Where are we here? Let's, hard charger. Austin Jurors, 15 spots up, David, on the red speed, started 22nd, able to get up to 7th.
Yeah, great drive by him. Not quite sure what happened in the pre-final. I'm assuming a DNF in that race that put him in the back there, but kind of knifed his way forward bit by bit and position by position to get to the 7th spot.
Let's move to Sunday. You said the really only blemish for Lloyd was the pre-final on Saturday. It looks like based on finishing, able to dominate all 3 sessions.
Well, it was a sweep once tech and scales were done.
Okay,
Lloyd ended up qualifying on the pole position and winning the pre-final. The main event, though, was quite exciting. Christian Miles actually jumped out to the early lead until Lloyd took back the position. But Hand had really the long race pace and was able to run down Lloyd late into the race, and then grab the lead and hold on to come across the line as the provisional winner. Unfortunately, a pushback bumper penalty for Hand took the victory away, thus promoting Lloyd back to the top of the podium and earning his 2nd victory on the day.
Overall, I'd have to look at the points. Is that so? Hand was 2nd on Saturday, 2nd on Sunday. And I think he had a P2 finish in January. So was that 3 second place finishes to get the championship?
No wins. That much I know. So he pulled off the Norberg. able to score the victory with no wins on the 3 rounds. Ended up finishing second round 1. I'm not quite sure where he finished in round 2, but so 2 seconds and a third, because with the pushback bumper penalty, dropped to third behind Miles on Sunday. Right. So at least 3 podiums.
Yeah, pretty sure he was top 5, at least top 5 in January as well in that second race. I'm not quite sure though. Let's look at the pushback bumper is always tough. Let's look at the hard charger, another one, because he had one in January as well. Jesus Vasquez Jr. on the Charles Leclerc chassis, up 9 spots, started 22nd, which is the tail of the field, 22 drivers in the field, ends up working his way up to 13th.
Yeah, contact again in the pre-final pushed him off the racetrack and out of the race, so that put him in the back, and good drive coming up to finish the 13th.
David, as you said, very Norberg-esque last year in the series. No wins for Norberg, and he was able to come away with the championship based on consistency. Same goes for Chase Hand, wins the championship over Lloyd by 46 points.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the results here from round 2.
You're digging your way back, good man.
Yeah,
you keep looking.
No, I'm there. He finished third in round 2. So I think he's got he had 4 podiums on the round. So a great debut for him. Obviously his first national program. Yeah. Been doing a lot of regional racing in Northern California and throughout California. So joining the Rallison Performance Group for the 2021 season, working with Selikin, Austin Garrison, Ryan Norberg, all the other coaches that are under the tent there. So, and of course this guy named Joey Hand.
Yeah. But he's just dad at this point. Yeah, Joey Hand, of course.
He wrench too. He's Joey's doing all the wrenching as well too. So it's not just dad. Come on now.
I like it. I'm sure there's some coaching heading back to the hotel. There's no doubt about it, right?
Well, that was a good moment. I think it was after the final on Saturday when before they started tearing stuff down in tech. They were sitting there having a nice good conversation about what had just happened. So obviously, yes, there's coaching going on from dad for sure.
Yeah, Joey, of course, one of the American superstars, ran DTM, Atlantic Championship, of course, one of the top sports car stars as well in the IMSA program, and again, but still having fun. He's got his son coming racing and having a great time at the track, so good to see them there as well. But again, big championship for Chase Hand, consistency, 4 podiums, as David said, equating to the championship in KA100 Junior. All right, David, let's cap off this segment with a look at X30 Masters. Really one of the only category that grew. No, KA100 Senior add 3 more, but went from 8 to 13 drivers in X30 Masters. Hoping I hate to say hoping because I shouldn't do that, but wondering if someone could finally beat Renato Jader David. And here's the title, folks. So the answer to the question. Streak extends to 11 with 4 titles for Renato Jader David. This guy is unbeatable right now in Florida.
Oh, unbeatable is almost not even the word. It's just almost unstoppable. There throughout the weekend, he was P1 throughout the weekend. So that's essentially the wrap up. Nobody was able to relinquish him of the top spot. So essentially went wire to wire in both pre-finals, both main events, setting fast time at both qualifying sessions. There looked to be a little bit of a challenge on Sunday, a little bit by William. Isaiah. There it is. Yep. Isaiah. We thought there was going to be a little bit more on Saturday, but nothing ever transpired. So Isaiah was the only one to kind of keep him close, but eventually Renato Jader David pulled away to a solid victory on Sunday. Kind of the same thing on Saturday, pulled away early on. Miguel Mir made his first start in the series on the year, ended up finishing second ahead of Isaiah, yes. So that was that race. And then Sunday again, swept it again. Mir actually had contact early on in the main event, came off the last corner and kind of started doing the buck and bronco thing over the curbing and ran into the wall, unfortunately ending his race there. So that kind of opened the door up for second spot with Isaiah in the second spot.
So I'll give you the wrap up here on Saturday for round number 3. Renato Jader David with the win. Miguel Mir second on the Expree for crosslink competition. William Isaias in third spot. Luis Cordero, one of the other drivers who challenged Renato back in January, finishing in fourth, and Michael Oriema rounding out the top 5. Sweep of the day, as David had said, for Renato. Dan Breitenstein on the Burrell with the hard charger after a pre-final wreck, started 10th, ended up in 7th. And on Sunday, David with the win. Isaias and Cordero, just like back in January, second and third. Ariel Castro, David, a Sunday starter on an EOS, finishes fourth. And Oriema, his second top 5 of the weekend.
Yeah, Ariel just said he was bored, so he decided to race.
I love it.
Great to do that. But, kind of to wrap things up, as we said in the points, Renato Jader David earned a 4th straight title. Now, when you look at this program that's 4 years old, Renato Jader David has 13 victories in 16 of the main events with all 4 titles to his credit. So,
wow.
Unstoppable is almost the word, because he had Derek Wang, PK, in 2018.
Rodrigo Wang, PK,
Rodrigo PK beat him in 2019. That was the round 1. So since PK beat him, he's won every main event since then. That's the 11 win streak that he's got going. Derek Wang, and I'm trying to think who the other one was. It might have been Scott Roberts, were the only drivers to beat him.
That rings a bell.
2018. So, essentially, if you're a Masters driver and you want to beat the best, SKUSA Winter Series, that's the place to go in
Challenge
2022.
Yourself. Agreed. Francisco Marquez on the Tony card up 5 spots from 11th to 6th. Hard charger of race number 2 on the weekend, round 4 overall on Sunday. Renato Jader David with the championship win. William Isaias and Luis Cordero finishing 2nd, 3rd in the championship battle. All right, another break in the action. When we get back, it's time to talk Pro Shifter, Master Shifter, Mini Swift, and Micro Swift.
You want the best, you just gotta roll with the best. Streeter Superstands. This is Jeff Wessel from StreeterSuperstands.com. You wouldn't put subpar parts on your racing cart, so why put that cherished ride of yours on anything but karting's #1 lifts and stands, Streeter Superstands. Streeter is the original and genuine manufacturer of the second-to-none Bigfoot rolling stands, stackers, uprights, and industry-leading Superlift. We also manufacture and sell the largest and always growing roster of trailer and shop accessories like tire, engine and jug racks, cabinets, spray can trays, bead breakers, and tons more to outfit any size trailer, team, and budget. Streeter Superstands has over 30 continuous years of experience. We're kart racers just like you and know that the Streeter name represents the absolute best in stands, lifts, and accessories for karting enthusiasts worldwide. Durability, affordability, unmatched quality, and customer service, that's what sets us apart from the rest. Check us out now at StreeterSuperstands.com. Roll with the best, StreeterSuperstands.com.
It all started in 1994, when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years, and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Orjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Welcome back to another edition of the EKN Debrief, our race review podcast, and the event that we're discussing today, the final 2 rounds of the Superkarts USA Winter Series from Homestead. Again, the race report, this edition brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing. David, let's jump into Pro Shifter and the headline, Cruz goes 4 for 4.
That pretty much, kind of like the last class, that pretty much says it all. Brent Cruz able to dominate on the weekend, scoring P1 in every session in the category. Unfortunately, only one other driver to compete against, which was Devin Smith Harden aboard the HMG comp cart. Harden was able to get a couple hole shots, was able to kind of keep close in the pre-final and finals, but it ended up being Cruz with the scoring the dominant victories in all four races on the weekend. So again, 444 for Brent Cruz as he claims his first championship in the shifter kart category.
Let's go to the master shifter class now. The headline: Remrev defends home turf.
Yeah, 60-year-old with a lot of laps at the Homestead facility. Was excited to race a driver like Scott Skitchy Barnes both weekends. Was really excited about it. Barnes had the pace to be there and compete all weekend long, kind of similar to what you saw in January. Unfortunately, errors by Barnes throughout the weekend kind of kept us from seeing a good battle all weekend long. Barnes did ended up qualifying P1 on Saturday, but Remrev was able to score the victory in the pre-final. And what was setting up to be a good race in the main event ended with a spin and a broken seat mount for Barnes to allow Remrev to a clean run to the checkered flag. Ken Schilling actually drove all day on Saturday, ended up finishing in third. Only two drivers on Sunday with Barnes and Remrev competing. Barnes, again, quickest in qualifying, was able to score fast lap, but an error in the pre-final cost Barnes any chance of a win in that race. And again, another spin in the main event cost Barnes any chance to battle with Remrev as he drove away aboard his CRG to a third victory and the championship in the category.
There you have it. Let's go to Mini Swift now. And the headline: Weldon and Vidmontien win as Orjuela scores title.
Orjuela had the momentum going in, scoring both victories in January, so kind of all eyes were on him. He ended up setting fast time in qualifying, but it was Oliver Weldon to score the victory in the pre-final after Orjuela got shuffled to the tail of the field in the pre-final, but was able to drive himself back up into the top 10. So that was kind of the story going in. How many points is he going to score, having that momentum and that championship lead going in? Out front, though, in the main event, it was kind of a two-driver battle. Vidmontien was one of them, was leading until he retired early towards the end of the race. That allowed Weldon to kind of drive away off to his first victory in the category. Luis Umana ended up finishing in second with Jensen Burnett aboard the Parolin in third. Orjuela was able to get himself up into fourth late in the race, working past Carson Waters for the fourth position.
Was that enough at that point for Orjuela? Was that enough to score the championship? I didn't look at the points at that point.
I was going to talk about that on Sunday, but since we got to talk about the Hard Charger first, Rob.
Hard Charger. All right. Dude, let me quarterback this.
I know, but you know what? No, you're quarterbacking like a Bears quarterback. You're
asked you. Well, that's very true. Either that or Michigan. Either that or University of Michigan.
Whoa! Now you're hurting to blow. Tom Brady, go! Come on now. Come on.
Hard Charger Stephen Miller on the energy chassis up 13 spots. Started 22nd, ended up 9th. So good run for Stephen Miller there. Again, getting himself up into the top 10. David, there you go.
Now you can ask the question.
Here comes a softball down the middle of the plate. Give me the update on Orjuela. What happened on Sunday?
So calculating the points Sunday morning and not seeing him out for qualifying led me to believe that Orjuela had enough points, and in fact he did. So Mateus was able to sit out Sunday's action, making sure there was no unsportsmanlike or any other kind of DQs that could have taken the championship away. So Orjuela kind of sat and watched along the fence all day long. That kind of opened the door up for everybody to kind of focus in and go after the victory. Unfortunately, Vidmontien had other things in mind, almost dominating the day. Came out and set fast time in qualifying and won the pre-final, but manipulating the start penalty dropped him to seventh in the pre-final, giving Weldon the win in that race. Vidmontien made quick work in the final, got himself up into the lead by lap 2 after starting 7th, And then from there, drove away to a solid victory to earn his first in the series. Weldon ended up winning the battle for second ahead of Sebastian Garzon, Burnett fourth, and then Walters with another top 5 finish for her.
Yeah, and obviously some big moves. We'll get to let's go hard charger first. Vivek Kanthan on the Cosmic up 11 spots, started 19th up into 8th. David, looks like a pre-final DNF.
Yeah, pre-final DNF. I'm not sure if it was contact or mechanical, one or the other.
Well, let's talk about Oliver Weldon then. A good weekend for Oliver. Wins the pre-final, wins the final on Saturday, and then finishes second on Sunday, able to jump his way up into the second spot. Arjuela, as you said, had it locked, but Weldon with a pretty good mini Swift. Actually, his debut, I think, this year. I think he was rookie in mini Swift, coming on P2, and of course the win for Vid Montien, elevating him to third in the championship when all was said and done on Sunday.
I think Weldon ran Pro Tour. He ran Mini Swift last year.
I think he was micro though last year at the Winter Series.
Might have been micro at the Winter Series.
I think. I'm pretty sure.
I'm looking for you right now.
All right,
I believe they ran one. They ran him. Sebastian and Oliver were running together all through Newcastle weekend, if I recall.
Yeah, I forgot that the Pro Tour was 2 weekends. Right?
I know. It does kind of
it messes up my mind.
It does. I was just telling that to somebody. I said, because somebody was asking about my birthday. I'm like, yeah, now that I'm getting to the age where I used to harass Howden about forgetting stuff, I'm almost like, yeah, now I understand. It makes sense.
You're getting there.
But yes, Weldon was a champion in micro last year.
That's what I thought. I thought he was a champion too. That's right. There you go. And yes, David's birthday is tomorrow, folks. This is February the 16th. Tomorrow is David's birthday. Super getting old. So we'll start allowing him the opportunity to forget things as I have.
3 years from Supermaster. So,
wow. Yeah. And still 13 years from, no, not 13, 8 years. 8 years?
You don't know
8
math.
years. 8 years from Legends.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
The new class. All right. Let's cap things off with Micro Swift. And here's your headline. Harvick claims first major title. Pretty cool.
That says it all. Yeah, we were hoping to see a double Harvick victory. One on obviously we had one Saturday, and then we were hoping for another Sunday to kind of have 2 victory trophies. But Keelan did all the heavy lifting for the Harvick family on the weekend. Keelan came in obviously as the championship leader with 2 victories in January. Came out guns a-blazing in qualifying. Was able to set fast time in that session. But the field came to battle. Augustus Toniolo came out with the pre-final win, and it was a fight all day long for the top spot with 3 to 4 drivers in that lead pack all day long. It was a great fight again in the main event, but Harvick took over the lead early and was just loves to be out in the lead. That's one thing I noticed on the weekend. He loves to be in the lead. So was able to hold off the rest of the field for what was his 3rd straight victory. Augustus Toniolo was second with Gianmatteo Rousseau in 3rd. So 2 nitros on the podium with the RPG Cosmic in the middle there. Alessandro De Truscio and the Parolin finishing 4th with Isaac Malcutt back from the broken hand. Said no issues whatsoever on the weekend and drove to 5th to begin in his first weekend back.
Hard charger in Micro Swift round 3 on Saturday. Bronson Custas in the Parolin up 11 spots, started deep in the field in 22nd and was able to get his way up to 11th.
Yeah, not sure what happened. Assuming a DNF in the pre-final that put him back there, but a good drive up to 11th. Essentially, 1 spot every 2 laps for that driver.
So let's talk about Gianmatteo Rousseau, 3rd on the Nitro Kart on Saturday, David, but came out of the gate, qualified on pole on Sunday.
Yeah, great speed in qualifying, was able to nip everybody for fast time in the session. Pre-final, again, a great race. Rousseau just seemed like he wanted to lead. Harvick also wanted to lead, so it was kind of a great battle throughout that race between those two, and it kind of bunched up the rest of the field behind him. That great fighting move carried over into the main event. But this time it was Augustus Toniolo that seemed to be the quick driver, was able to secure the spot late in the race as they fought for second behind him, was able to drive off to what was a birthday victory for the 10-year-old.
Nice. Good for him. Malkit coming home in second, Harvick third. Again, so 3 wins and a third place, 4 podiums for Keelan Harvick. Ethan Tovo on the Nitro, good run up to P4. Alessandro Truchot on the Parallel rounding out your top 5. And 7-spot improvement for Nicholas Vila on the Cosmic, 21st to 14th, David, as the hard charger in race number 4 on the year, or on the series for the drivers in Micro. Good job for Vila there.
Yeah, Rousseau was actually in the top 5, but a impeding 3-second penalty dropped him out of the top 5. That moved him to the 6th position. So that's where the pre-final winner ended up.
All right. Keelan Harvick with the championship, as we said, 3 wins. That's a pretty solid. Able to drop the 3rd place on Sunday. Augustus Toniolo used that victory on Sunday to move his way up into 2nd. And probably the same for Rousseau as well, getting those bonus points for qualifying, and the pre-final helping out him go to P3.
Yeah, great little battle, like I said, all weekend long in this category. So these drivers are going to be fun to watch as the season moves on.
All right, folks, time to wrap things up here. Our final break in the action on this edition of the EKN Debrief. When we come up, we'll wrap it up. David will look at the Constructors' Championship. We'll let you know what chassis were able to score wins at Homestead. And finally, look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar for the months of February and March. Made in the USA. That's exactly what you get from Precision Karting Technologies. Based in Detroit, Michigan, PKT brings over 35 years of manufacturing experience to the sport of karting. Their passion for the sport began focusing around the Kid Kart platform and has expanded every year with hundreds of products designed to put you on the podium. Precision Karting Technologies is known around North America for their successful line of axles, available in all age groups. PKT manufactures a number of engine products for Comer, IAME, Rock, Rotax, and the popular Briggs & Stratton 206. A wide variety of chassis components for the many brands in the sport are available through PKT, including hubs, pedal risers, skid plates, and other hardware for your kart. Axle straightening, chassis adjustments, engine service, and specific CNC machining projects are available through their Motor City headquarters. To learn more about the many products and services available from Precision Karting Technologies, head to pktaxles.com. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Spec Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. And the all-new IgniteKarting.com website provides you with the information you need to fuel your passion for kart racing. Ignite Karting is a spec kart that features the Margay racing chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and a Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the junior, senior, and masters classes utilize the same Ignite K3 kart, which puts all the emphasis squarely on the driver. You can race the Ignite package from Margay at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for 2021 include the Ignite Majors, featuring events at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Quincy Grand Prix, and Newcastle Motorsports Park. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regional-based Ignite Challenge Series at tracks in Iowa, Missouri, Indiana, and Illinois. Local club programs have been established in Idaho, Texas, Nebraska, New York, Ohio, and Florida. All the information that you're looking for on events throughout the country and on all the Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, is available at IgniteKarting.com. Get off the couch and on the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. We're going to cap off this edition of the EKN Debrief. David, let's wrap things up from the SuperKarts USA Winter Series rounds 3 and 4 at Homestead. 4th season in the books.
4th season in the books. Again, some records set with Renato Yader-David with a 4th straight title. Ryan Norberg with 3 of his own. So it's those two setting some records. We had essentially what this does, though, is set the tone for the 2021 SuperKarts USA Pro Tour. So all the drivers we talked about with championships taking this momentum and hopefully carrying it over to what will be the Winter Nationals next month.
Bunch of new names, David. I think we're interesting. You throw Chase Hand in there. You throw, obviously, Keelan Harvick, Toniolo, Thomas Annunziata stepping up as well. You got some rookies that were big like Connor Zilic. You got some guys stepping up to show well. And again, that precursor to what we're going to see on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, Pro Tour, Brent Cruz jumping over to that category as well. A Freddie Remrev, he's excited. He's going to be at NOLA to race in the Masters shifter. So we'll see again. We'll see. Hopefully, the Masters numbers grow once we get to the Winter Nationals. But as you said, you mentioned a lot of new names that are in the mix. Mateus Orjuela, another one in Mini. He's going to be essentially the driver to beat moving now throughout the season in the Mini category. So that again. That's what this winter program does. It kind of sets the tone and either provides you with those drivers who are going to be early favorites as we move into what will be the summer season, or again allows those drivers to kind of get comfortable with new homes or new categories that they moved into.
David, let's have a look at the Constructors Championship. Tony Kart, another big weekend with 7 wins.
Yeah, overall OTK with 10 victories, with Cosmic grabbing 2 and Red Speed grabbing 1. So OTK more than half the victories on the weekend. Duke Medjian picking up 2 for Kart Republic. Brent Cruz picking up 2 for Formula K. Well, as we said, Freddie Remrev getting 2 for the CRG brand, while Nitro Kart and Bennett each grab 1.
All right, folks, time to wrap things up here. EKN Trackside Live race calendar. Again, the Trackside Live program this year presented by Cooper Tires. But this particular look at the calendar brought to you by AMAX Racing. The AMAX Racing operation is focused on driver development for karters of all ages. From top-level drivers to grassroots racers or families looking for a team that will help them achieve their goals, AMAX Racing can guide you with the absolute best trackside service at affordable prices. No matter the chassis, AMAX Racing welcomes you and has the experience to put you on the top of the podium. AMAX Racing, all of your karting needs under one tent. All right, David, well, I'm locked and loaded up here in Canada. When I do come south, I'm going to come south for 4 months with all the stuff that's going on with COVID restrictions. If I come back from the U.S., I got to get a test at the airport, stay in a hotel for 3 days for a couple of grand, they're saying. Then I got to quarantine. I'm going to come down for the Winter Nationals and stay down for 4 months. Got a lot of races to cover while we're down there. You, meaning you'll be by yourself for the next race too. Challenge of the Americas, our next event, February 26 to 28, Cal Speed Karting, and I expect to see massive numbers for Cal Speed for this event.
Well, we almost broke the record at Phoenix in January, so that 138 mark that we set last year at Cal Speed, which was essentially the series finale in 2020, will I think more than likely be broken. Hearing a lot of good things about the event. Again, you get the Cal Speed bump, as of course. So add all that together, maybe we're looking at 150 entries for that weekend.
Man, that'd be amazing. Always cool to see big fields like that, especially with the Challenge of the Americas. Andy Saisman and the whole crew do a great job there. Speaking of record numbers, David, what do you think the odds are that the United States Pro Kart Series launches on March the 12th, 13th, and 14th at Ocala with its biggest ever race as well?
That's another one that's going to set a new mark. We did that last year with the USPKS. And I keep hearing, people were talking 300. I'm like, whoa. Let's start with 250. Yeah. I don't know where we're going to find 70 more drivers that weren't there already last year. So, I want to say 250 is going to be the mark. So we're at least going to get probably 20 to 30 new drivers there. But 250 is the goal I've set out. But yeah, people are saying it's going to be massive at Ocala Grand Prix in less than a month.
Anytime, David, we see big numbers, it's good for the sport, right? We want to let's get out and go racing, have fun, support the team, support the shops. And of course, the USPKS has done a great job over the last number of years to really settle in their program, and good for them to get a good launch at Ocala. That'll be the second weekend of March, as I said, 12th, 13th, 14th. Then at the end of the month, 2 weeks later, for I think the only time we'll have to do it this year, it'll be the split squad. David will be at the Challenge of the Americas finale at Sonoma Raceway on March the 26th, 27th, 28th. As I said before, I'll be at the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Winter Nationals at NOLA Motorsports in New Orleans. Got to say that correctly. But David will be at the end of March. We'll be doing a split run. You'll be over in California, and I'll be in New Orleans.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to race like we did last time we were split. You were racing the VLR there at Sonoma last time we were split. Right. I was in Ocala. You were out there. So this time you get to go do the jambalaya and all that good stuff in New Orleans. I get to go have some good
In and out.
In and out. along with Angelo's next to Sonoma.
That's right. So, folks, that's those are the next 4 events that we'll have EKN Trackside Live. Every one of those events, as you know, we'll do the debrief going in. We'll do the
outlap going in.
Outlap going in, debrief at the end, the face-to-face with the winners. We got lots of content coming for these. Social media updates throughout the weekend on both of the events. Live trackside, play-by-play. It'll be myself at NOLA. It'll be Tim Chappie Chapman out at Sonoma for the Challenge race. And he'll be at Cal Speed as well. So anyways, David, lots of racing coming over the next couple of weeks. And once I do head down for the Winter Nats, it'll be 4 months south. So looking forward to getting at it and getting back to being trackside.
Yeah, I think April is going to be your busiest time, where I think the sport of karting is going to kind of take a breath and get kind of reloaded, because it already is and will be a busy winter.
That's very true, David. Yeah, we'll wrap things up there at the end of March. April kind of taking the time off, as you said, and then me jumping into what will then be the Road to Indy spring training, IndyCar and Road to Indy at Barber Motorsports Park and the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. A lot of karting drivers who have graduated into the Road to Indy. If you're obviously the karting community, a lot of people to be cheering on the Road to Indy here in 2021. David, let's wrap things up right now. That'll cap off this edition of the EKN Debrief. Thank you so much for joining us. Great season for the SuperKarts USA Winter Series drivers. All that precursor training to set to go for the 2021 SKUSA Pro Tour. Hope you enjoyed this broadcast, folks. Again, have a look tomorrow on Wednesday, as we'll have Chase Hand and Ryan Norberg, our face-to-face show to cap off our coverage of the SKUSA Winter Series. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.